Welcome to When Culture Calls, where three worlds have collided. We're bringing girl talk to the main stage while flipping culture on its head with our passionate point of views. You're dialed into deep connections and necessary conversations. Whenever I need someone to call on, I know I got my girls.
Hi everyone, welcome to When Culture Calls. I am Amara.
I'm Kalifa.
And I'm Endeshia.
And you have now entered another episode of When Culture Calls. So ladies, lately, y'all already know that I've been living on my own for quite some time, which I'm happy about. But there's been a lot of things that I have been experiencing, and I think I would like to call them revelations when it comes to this whole thing of aging. Now we know that age is a social construct, and I believe it is to a certain point, because I think that age does matter when you're younger, in your younger years. So I don't want to necessarily say it is a social construct in every aspect, but for the most part, we know it's something that's made up. And but I've been hanging around my niece a lot, and she's been, saying little things that got me questioning my age. And I'm like, but wait, I'm only 32. I think that is fairly young. And aside from thinking that it is fairly young, I also think that age is one of the things that play a major role in our self-sabotage when it comes to certain things that we want to do in our lives. We start to feel like, damn, I'm too old.
I'm too old for this shit.
I can't do this. I can't accomplish that. The time has passed. So my question to y'all is, what are some of the pros and cons when it comes to aging and being in your 30s?
That's a good one.
So I don't know if I could preface it with the pros and cons, but I know, as you said, revelations. I, through therapy, have had I guess therapy helps me with like the language as I'm aging, but I do feel like if all the things I did when I was like 21, if I started to do them now and then allowed my 21 to 31 to be like not have those responsibilities, I feel like I would be emotionally, like in my body, ready. I realized like literally the other day, and again, I don't even know if this will answer your question, but I hope it brings like a little bit of insight. So the other day I was thinking, like, at 31 and 32, I feel so equipped to do so many things. Like, I just naturally, innately feel like, oh, this actually would have been a good time to do XYZ, or this would have been a good time to do XYZ now. And I just feel like that's like an innate feeling. Like, I'm prepared for what may come now at this age. I don't think I ever had that revelation. Being younger, you think being younger is all a fantasy. Like, being 21, you fantasize and you just only and I think greatly in part is due to like the adults around us. Like, I don't really think they really emphasize age. And Amara, you did say the other day, like, you were thinking about somebody who was doing this in their life, or they were like a mom and they were in their 20s. And I actually did math for a certain, like, I was calculating somebody's age, and I was thinking back to my childhood, and I was like, they were actually like 35 at this time. Why were they this? Like, it felt so off. They felt actually so much older, and they were only like 35, 36. So I just think like age comes with a lot of expectations, and I think the pros and cons of it are honestly an individualized thing. Is what you make it. And just like for me, I had children young. That age plays into that. Some people would never do that. Like, some people would never have children in their 20s. Like, fundamentally, like, that's not something that they would do. Whether they were married or not, And I just think like age is more for like information. I feel like we should consider age as like information, like data. Like, okay, statistically, at this age, these things happen. Let's be aware of that and be mindful of it. I don't really think age should limit us as unfortunately, we say we're 30 years old. We're 31 years old. Saying that already means like the more you go, you're old. And so like ironically, when I ask people their age, I never say, how old are you? I say, what's your age? Because I don't like the feeling of saying the old part. And as we know, the lie that we've been told is that aging is bad, but aging is actually the beauty of life. That's the ultimate goal. And so I think these conversations are good to let us know and reinform us that aging is like the ultimate goal in life. It's like the ultimate gift. And I can't wait to get to my 40s because I heard that's where it's at. So I'm always good. You know, so I don't.
I heard that's where it's at.
Yeah, so I don't know if that. I think the pro is, to answer your question, I think the pro is age informs us, kind of like data, and I think the con is it inhibits us and it produces fear and it produces this unwarranted reality that I don't think is necessarily real, and it holds us back in certain ways. So that's what I'll say.
You said a lot, and I definitely agree, because I feel like aging is like proof of life. Like it's like we're still here because we are aging, and like it's a natural part of life, but it's ridiculed so much because, one, I think that because the average, I don't know the exact number, but the average lifespan in America, I feel like, is lower than a lot of other countries. And because of that, we look at aging like we only have a little bit of time. But in actuality, if you do, I'm not saying this for everybody because there's always unfortunate circumstances, but if you do live a healthy lifestyle, you are staying out of trouble, you're not engaging in extremely, I guess, risky like events or whatever, then you can prolong the average lifespan, which it is here in America. I want to assume around 65. Don't really know much past that. I think you retire like at 65, and usually people are here like 10 or 15 years plus after that. But a lot of people, especially in our community, don't even get that far. So it's just like, when you look at that, 30 is just like, damn, halfway through your life. I think that that's what a lot of people think. It's just like, if I didn't accomplish all the things I wanted to accomplish by 30, who is to say I'm going to make it by 65? So, and I think even a beauty in saying that is that in that itself, there is a lot of pros and cons. Like, because you are still here at this 30 age, it's just like you still have time. If you are trying, like if you are living, I don't want to say appropriately because people can have their own, whatever. But if you are living a healthy lifestyle, you still have more time. There's still more time. And even though 65 might seem like a short amount of time, that's 365 days in a year. Like, every year is 365 days. There's a lot you can accomplish in 365 days if you put one foot right in front of the other. Talking to myself here because I need to get back in the gym. But what I will say with the cons of getting older is that you do actually have to be more conscious about like your health. You do have to be more conscious about what you are consuming, what you are putting in your body, what is your lifestyle, because your body does wear and tear. Like, we can't get around that. As you get older, your metabolism slows down, your bones start to age, like things do start to change. So there are cons when it comes to your physical body because it will age. But the pros is that if you do have a good mental state, emotional state, spiritual state, that there's things that you can still do as you're aging.
Yes. I agree with both of you ladies. I would say that the con for me when it comes to aging is that, what would I say? The con to aging is that there is expectations placed on you from people that you don't even know. And it's not even something that they're doing consciously. It's a subconscious thing. And, like even small talk, conversing with someone, like Kalifa said, she doesn't ask someone, how old are they? But there are millions of people who would ask, how old are you? And they're not asking because they genuinely care, but they're asking because they want to see where they can place you. So I think that's one of the cons. And another con for me is that, like I said, it's one of the reasons why so many people are afraid to do certain things or feel like they cannot do certain things because of age. The pro for me is the journey, the knowledge, the wisdom. When I think of getting older and I think of how far I've come and all the data that I've collected, I'm just always in awe because the mind is like the one thing that will never stop growing. You can feed it as much information. So I think that's the beauty in aging. I would say though, that I think y'all know I talk about patriarchy a lot, but aside from patriarchy, the things that I think are like plague us as the human race is patriarchy, slavery, and age. So I think age is up there because, like I said, it affects a lot of people in almost every aspect in relationship. Oh, you're this age, you're not married, you don't have kids, you're supposed to have this done by this age. Career fields, what else aspects, you ladies could help me out. But in so many aspects, age is a factor. And I think that honestly, one, had I not had a mirror to even look at myself, I wouldn't even know that I've aged. I would just feel like I had collected, I would just feel like I've collected information and I'm much more wiser, but I wouldn't know anything about aging. Now, do my body feel different? Absolutely. My body feels different. Some things I can't do like I used to do, but that's fine. But I wouldn't know that I gotten older. When people ask me about my age, I remember there was a point in time I had my ex little sister asked me about my age, and I think at that time I was like 30, and I told her I felt like I was still 28-ish. I felt like I stopped aging around 28. My soul doesn't feel old. My soul still feels like the youthful child that I've always been. So when I think of aging, I think that's like the biggest con, that we put so much pressure on ourselves and it really doesn't exist. It's really not a thing. But then on the other end, I feel like it is a thing because I have to keep in mind that there are some weirdos out here and they would think like, it's okay to prey on children. So, I mean, and that's a whole nother conversation, but, I do have to keep that in mind. I want to know, what age did you start like actually feeling like, oh, I'm older? Because I find myself talking about the younger generation, And it's like, girl, you're still in the middle of generations. You're still considered the younger generation to the older generation.
I'm telling you, the other day I was having this, I don't know, I was having this age talk to myself, and actually it was in therapy. I was crying. I was just like, and again, it's for many different reasons, but I told my therapist, I do not feel like for a long time, so like maybe I guess my whole 20s, that I have ownership of my body. Like, so I didn't feel like I feel like now I'm finally like, it almost feels robotic, and some people may not understand this, but it feels like I've been living life, but now I'm actually able, like I've been living life outside of my body, and follow me here. But it's like I'm in my body. I put these clothes on today. I know that. I see my body. I know that. But I just feel like I've reached just like maybe this age where there's so many new things that are like affecting me, not health wise, but like growth wise, like mentally. And I just feel like I'm being pulled in a new direction. So the last time I felt like this was maybe like when I was 30. So it's like, do we even age every year? Like, is it like an every 4-year thing? Because I feel like I'm hitting a growth period in my life. And it feels like now I'm entering into a new shell. And I don't know if that even goes to age, but I think age goes with that. And it's been mind-boggling for me because, like I said, I feel like I'm just entering this new realm, and I'm about to be 32. Thing, because I be forgetting my age, because it's like once you hit 30, it's like, oh, I'm 30 something. But I'm at the age where it's like I'm entering this new realm of life, and it's just so weird because I think for so long in my 20s I was an adult, and then in my late 20s I started to ration my childhood, and then now I feel like I'm truly an adult. Like I feel like I am truly an adult, but I lived an adult life for the past 10 years. So I just feel like I think age is something that, like I said, you gotta consider it in so many ways. Um, and I think you said earlier, Amara, you said slavery, you said patriarchy, and you said age. And I think age also changes our purpose. I think that we all have, and I said this in one of the last shows, when we were kind of talking about I forgot what we were talking about, but I said this in the last show that I think obviously we were all sitting here for a reason, and we confine that to age. We really think our purpose can only be done at 25, and maybe that is the story for some people because we are only here for a certain time. But I think the one thing that wovens all of us together, no matter the age, race, ethnicity, is purpose. That's the one thing everyone has, no matter what. No matter what family you come from, what income you come from. And I think age steals that from a lot of people. Because on their dying days, many people have recollected, whether it's through memoirs or family stories, that they wish that they would have done XYZ, but thought they couldn't because. And I just think, like, for me, that's something that I keep as a pillar for me. It's like I know God sent me here for something. 30, 32, 55, I gotta get it done. I do it. So I think age at this time is teaching me that. So I don't know if that answered anything you have.
I would say that I was sitting here thinking about it. It's two things. I feel like during the pandemic, I personally experienced a lot of like death around me, and not due directly to the pandemic, but in that time frame, a lot of people like that I knew was passing. And growing up, I never really lost like people that were close to me. Like I know people who passed away, but it was never someone that I had like a close relationship with. And I feel like during that time, three people had passed. One was my grandfather, one was my ex, and one was my cousin who was murdered. So it was just like during that time, it was like he was young. He literally is a spitting image of my brother, which was like the most shocking thing. That shit had me like they look so much alike. It's kind of crazy. So seeing that, it was just like, whoa, he's young. My ex at the time, he was in his 30s. Then we were both like 32 at that time. He had passed away due to a motorcycle accident. And then my grandfather, who lived to be like in his 80s, had passed away. So I feel like during that time, and it was all like within a year and a half. So it was just like, it really made me in that moment like appreciate, oh shit, okay. It really made me like appreciate age. Cause it's just like I have this man literally my age, and then my grandfather who has lived a full life, all passed within 2 years. And it made me think, okay, I'm in my 30s, and like I'm I'm in between the youngest, the oldest, and I'm like a direct reflection of the person who's my age. So it was a time where I really thought about age and I really measured it, but it wasn't like directly, oh, I feel old, but it was a time where I really like sat back and was just like thinking heavily on that. And I think that death and grief can really make you feel like, where am I placing me in my time span? You never know when you're gonna go, but it's just like I'm in my 30s, and I know that I wouldn't say closer to the end, because again, my grandfather lived till 85, but like I'm really halfway there. Like I'm halfway or a little less than halfway there. So I think that's something that can make people feel really old depending on who's around them and maybe their lifespan. And when you see people passing, especially in your family, it's just like, wow. And then the second thing was, I had like this thing when it came to children. I'm not like a big like kid person. I don't have this extreme motherly desire to like breed kids like at any given moment, right? But I feel like there was a time when I was younger, I didn't want kids, and there was a time I wanted kids, and I was like, oh, I need to have them by 30. That magic number was just always in my head. I need to have them by 30. 30 came around, and I'm like, I still feel like I'm 24. Like I still feel like this is not the time. Like career-wise, I'm not there. Mentally, like I don't have the capacity to breed a living being and take care of them right now. So I was just like, no. And I still feel youthful. So it's just like, why do I have this thing? And then I kind of like let it go, and I still don't have that instinct, but I do know that I want a child. But I'm also okay if it doesn't come to fruition, because I'm only having one if I have a ring on my finger, just respectfully. So it's just like I want it, but it's not this deep yearning desire. But when I do think about a family, and I feel like my life is on a path where it's going to grow into marriage and then eventually a family, it does now make me think of kids. And that does make me think of my age. I'm not going to lie. That's the one thing that makes me think of my age. Outside of that, it's just like, wow, be my person, get married in a year or two. I'm not going to want to have a kid immediately after that, but would I have to? Like, those are the questions that I start to think of, which is unfortunate. I mean, my mom had my youngest brother in her 40s, and there were complications with that. So I do think of like, okay, you can have it in your 40s. Not everybody has that experience, but I do know that is more of a risk. So that's the only time I really think about age, and I feel like, damn, I am getting a little bit up there, because if I do pop out a child, you know, I want everything to be smooth. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first I want to say my condolences, because that was heavy. That was really heavy. And I never experienced death to that magnitude. Anyone like that close. Well, I have experienced death when it comes to, I lost a cousin, but back to back 3 people. Yeah, that's wild. That's a lot to deal with. So the first time I started thinking about my age, it's pretty recent, because I'm the last child of 5. And so for me, I mean, I've always been the youngest for my entire life. And then the nieces, the next generation came along, the nieces and the nephews. And now that I'm living, like we're all living in the same building.
Y'all all live in the same building?
Yes, we all live in the same building.
That's
yes.
Actually
my mom and my sister live right across from each other, and then I live on the floor above them.
Oh, nice.
So now that I'm here and I'm seeing my nieces and nephews on a consistent basis, the conversations that they're having, I'm just like, I feel like I'm in a place where I have to be the teacher now. And I never felt like that. I felt like, because I'm the youngest one, I have to be taught. So here I find myself in a place where not only do I have to be the teacher, but my age is also being questioned, you know? And I would come upstairs like, okay, well, now she's making me feel like I need to talk to my therapist, because why am I sitting down having all these thoughts about my age when it wasn't a thing before, until I started speaking to my niece about certain things, you know? I will say, when it comes to what you were talking about as far as, you know, having kids and being married and your age, I think about that because Kalifa, you know, like I've always been in the middle. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a mother. I want to have kids. I want to get married. And then sometimes I'm like, no, it's not for me. I'm not doing it. But I do think about that as well. And it just is so frustrating, because I know that while the biological clock may be, I guess, like it's supposed to be a natural thing, or I don't even know if it's a natural thing. I just know that these men told us that we have a biological clock and it starts ticking at 35. I really don't know how true it is. But I do know that there are women who have kids after 35, and some have complications and some don't have complications. But I just feel like age has been placed over us, and it steals joy. sometimes, not all the times, because like I said, it is about the journey, the wisdom, the knowledge. But I feel like sometimes it does still joy, and it's unfortunately you don't get it back. Whatever you choose to do with that time, you don't get it back. And I think that's like probably one of my biggest fears when it comes to aging is I feel like I have to keep all the time for myself. Like I got to make sure that I'm, even though I'm not always doing the things that I feel like I'm set out to do, I feel like I'm supposed to be. And when I'm not, I feel like I'm less than, and I'm not living up to the standards that I should be for my age. I hope I'm making sense.
You are.
Okay. So I I try to I start I started having these thoughts like, oh, I can understand why women get a certain age and they start lying about their age and they don't want to really talk about their age. I could understand. But then on the flip side, I feel like, no, you're not about to start lying about your age, because one, I think aging is a beautiful thing. I think that when we start thinking about the beauty standards around age and what you should look like, that's the cause of why many women don't want to express their age, because they feel like they should look a certain way. And I just want to say, fuck it. Fuck it all.
Yeah, no, that's
I just, what'd you say?
I said no, that's good. That's good. You did something a thought, and I bring it up, is when you said your nieces kind of being an auntie and being around your nieces and nephews is kind of making you feel like you have to be the teacher. And I think that all comes with embracing life, not even just age, and owning that. And I do think that this is the age that you do become the teacher in ways. And I think that's the beautiful thing, because like I said, when I was calculating someone's age from my childhood, my was, why wasn't she more of a teacher? Why wasn't she more of a mentor or a go-to person? Because at that age, it seems optimal. Like, you're still young enough to know, and you're still old enough to know. Like, you're old enough, like, how to give that guidance, and you're young enough to have the compassion and the empathy. So I would just, if I could encourage you to like lean into that. I think this conversation in general is not one that I ever really like. From my perspective, age was kind of like, it just became a topic for me, because my just accepting, like, I just feel like there's this transition that I'm in that's directly correlated with age that I couldn't even imagine before.
I'm happy you said that, because I was just about to ask you ladies, do you think that naturally certain things just align themselves with our age, or is it because we are programmed to think? Like, for example, having kids and being married. Like, is that something that we naturally want and age has nothing to do with it? Or are we putting stress and pressure on ourselves because society is saying it's supposed to be done at this age? And not just like being married and having kids, but career, friends, whatever, traveling,
Yeah, I think for me, it was always it was always innate. I remember before my aunt transitioned, she had told my husband, like, Kalifa used to be like, I'm gonna marry him. Like, I'm gonna marry him. Like, it was always something that I just knew. It had nothing to do with age. Now, I did put an age on it. I used to be like, oh, at 32, I'm gonna have my first kid. I always said that. And it's crazy because I'm about to be 32 and I feel so equipped to do the things that I did when I was so younger. It's so crazy. But I think it is innate for some people. And I'm just speaking from my experience and just hearing you both, that you both have said to yourselves, like, oh, if I have kids, cool. If I don't have kids, cool. It doesn't matter to me either way. For me, I always knew I'm having kids. Like, there was no question about it. I don't think that is a level of, does that make me more maternal than someone else? It's just something, and it wasn't based on no Barbies. It wasn't based on nothing besides, like, I just felt it. Like, I'm gonna have a child at least.
Yeah.
Having 3, I never imagined that, but 3. So to a degree, yes. Like, if we want society to run in a healthy capacity, then yeah, at this age, we need some things in place. We need people acting a certain accordance. Like, come on, where are we going? So I think, yes, we do. Age is a real factor. Like, time is here. It is what it is. Like, so I think, yes, those things play. But I also think that I know that at 65, you could change careers and be happy. I know that at 72, you can get married. I know that at 59, you can have a baby because my maternal grandmother, was born to a mother at 59 years old. And my grandmother, who was born to a mother at 59 years old, is now 92 years old. So life happens for us uniquely and perfectly. And I think that giving too much power to age takes away the power from God. And I think if I looked at it anyway, I would always just kind of meditate on that, because I'm not controlled by age. I'm controlled by purpose and God's purpose for me. So I think if you have your binoculars on and you're looking out, what is like that tunnel vision? What is shaping that tunnel vision for you? And what are you giving power to? If you give too much power to age, it will defeat you. It's like, oh, I'm washed up. And I think culturally, because this is when culture calls, I think a good culture reference is like the music industry. You age out of it. The beauty industry, you age out of it. But now you see these influencers who are like 55 years old slaying it. You see women with gray hair taking over campaigns every day. I think that it's how you see it and what you give power to.
I think, to answer your question, a lot of things are innate, but a lot of things are like societal, like conditioning, but it's needed. I don't look at it as a bad thing. I think that it's needed. So the reason why I feel like a lot of things can be innate, because if we look at babies, like if you put them on the stomach, they're naturally going to want to start moving. Like that's innate. Like that comes with strength and that comes with time. And then eventually they're going to want to like stand up. They naturally want to progress and they naturally want to do more because they're experiencing more every day. So I do feel like there's something that is innate with us as we do age to do more. Like I have to accomplish more. I want to seek more wisdom. I want to learn more. I want to do more. But then I think a lot of it is conditioning, because once you get into school, like that is when it's like, okay, well, you have to be, in order to be what's the word, like I guess a good participant in society, we need you guys to be mature. We need you guys to be responsible. So there is certain steps like, okay, now that you're 10, you can't pee in the bed, or whatever the age is. I don't know. Now that you're this age, you can't pee in the bed. Now that you're this age, you can't curse. You have to start being mindful of this. There's responsibilities. There's structure now. So I do think that there is like the societal conditioning, but it's necessary to keep us ideally on a good path. But I do think a lot of it is innate. If we even just look at babies, they naturally want to do more as they're living. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I came across, hopefully I could find this video, but I came across this video. It's of a comedian, and she was saying that she was cursing around her friend. And her friend was like, "Oh my God," let's just say her name is Meredith. She's like, "Meredith, you're cursing?" She's like, "Yeah, so what?" She's like, "Oh my God, you're 70 at this age?" She's like, "What the fuck does that mean?" She's like, "What the fuck does that mean? This is the first time I've ever been 70 in my life. I don't know how the fuck to act." And I was like, yes,
that's
because
a good one.
it's true. It's like, you're supposed to act this age. What does that mean? I'm supposed to act this age.
Yeah.
Like, am I not supposed to say a curse word because I'm 70? I think I have crossed all my I's and dotted all my T's. I think I'm allowed to say a few curse words in my 70s. I saw someone commenting on Taraji P. Henson and Gabrielle Union's outfits, talking about it's not inappropriate for the age. I'm like, but wait, why do y'all think it's okay for 20-year-olds to be dressed in scandalous, but not grown-ass, successful-ass, hardworking-ass women? These are grown women. They're in their 40s, hitting 50s, if I'm correct. What's the problem? So I just feel like, yes, I agree with you and Daisha wholeheartedly. Like there's some things that is innate, but some things is societal pressure. And for what? For what? So what do we say?
Amara, I never thought of that. And I feel like, in certain things, I can definitely be a participant. Like, I don't necessarily, well, not really. I guess it depends. Because when you see like grown women just out here naked, it's just like, what are we doing? And I feel like that would be, it depends. Because I'm like, if it's classy, then I'm not going to think that, of course. But if I do see a grown 50-year-old woman walking around with poom poom shorts and a tank top, I'm be like, well, Miss Ma'am, like, we in our 50s. But you're right. It's just like they have earned, honestly, not even that you have to earn, but they have definitely earned their right to do whatever it is they want. Why is it now after a certain age you must be covered from head to toe? That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like, stop that. I don't understand it. And age definitely is up there when it comes to patriarchy and slavery and like just holding people back. And another thought before we go, I feel like it also is a wedge in between, obviously, the younger generation and the older generations, because the older generation look at us in despair for the most part. Like they think we're just messing up the world. And the younger generation look at the older generation like, y'all don't know anything and y'all had already given us a messed up world. So I think that it's a wedge, because had there not been any age at all, I think people would find it okay to just transfer information from one age group to another age group and not think like, you too young for me to learn from you. Like, no, there's a lot of adults I've come across in my life older adults, because I'm an adult, but older adults that I've come across in my life, and I'm like, I know more than you. And it's, is it age, or is it because I just know I was sent here? No. So I think that age plays a big part in the wedge in between the younger generations and the older generation. But overall, it's naturally going to happen, right? It's nothing we can fight. We just have to embrace it, like Kalifa said, lean into it and fucking enjoy it. Do what you will with your life, your time on planet Earth. So, do you ladies have anything else you want to say?
This is good. I think I'm going to end up thinking about this more.
So I think that wraps up our episode. Go ahead and follow us at When Culture Calls on all platforms. I am Amara. You can follow me down below.
I'm Kalifa.
And I'm Endeshia.
And this is When Culture Calls. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.